Jesus is saying that by our love for one another, the unbelieving world will be able to identify you and I as Christians. Catch this. Catch the implications of this statement. You are God's divine strategy for putting on display his glory, his love, his goodness, and his kingdom to the watching world. Ray Ortlund says this in his short little book, The Gospel, which is available out at the resource table. He says, the command of Christ is that we love one another. The example of Christ is that we die for one another. The promise of Christ is that our love will show a skeptical world the difference he really makes. Love is Christ's authorized way for us to be convincing. People today don't care about doctrine, but they do care about love. The world is not impressed by anything about us but the love of Christ, nor should they be. If we fail to love one another in ways so striking that we actually start looking like Jesus, then the world has the right to judge that we know nothing of him. They might be wrong. We might indeed be Christians. But the world is right to dismiss unloving Christians as unchristian. Jesus himself gave them that right. If you want the gospel to be displayed through you, if you want your life to point to the goodness and glory of God, if you want to be a living, breathing, walking testimony of the kingdom of God to the onlooking world, then when others scrutinize one another, serve one another. When others gossip about one another, do good to one another. When others are so quick to judge one another, be patient with one another in love. When others exclude one another, encourage one another daily. When others ignore one another, bear with one another. When you find others avoiding one another, you love one another. Why? Because by this, all people will know that you're Jesus' disciples, if you have love for one another.